this generation of youths through or though ignorant of certain facts and being seriously misguided are in their own way thinking and in their own way of thinking they are trying to change and are trying to change the meaning of the word by misspelling it and pronouncing it differently because of their ignorance of certain facts. They are trying to change it. But more on that later on. Finally, let me revisit the quote on the word nigger and its definition from dictionary.com and highlight a few points that many may have overlooked. And I quote, "The term nigger is now probably the most offensive word in the English," unquote. Now, if this is correct, then what this is telling me is that the term nigger or the word nigger is far more offensive than the word Satan. It is far more offensive than the word devil. The word evil. It's far more offensive than the word murderer. The word thief. You name them. And you will or you may discover that the word nigger encompasses them all. Quote number 2, its degree of offensiveness has increased markedly in recent years, although it has been used in a derogatory manner since at least the Revolutionary War, unquote. If this is true, it therefore proves and confirms that the word nigger, its variants, and its equivalent have been a derogatory term forever among Europeans and primarily the British or the English people and their culture. Quote number 3, the senses labeled extreme, disparaging and offensive represent meanings that are deeply insulting and are used when the speaker deliberately wishes to cause great offense, unquote. This is when a person seriously wants to try to and put you down, and when they are not even trying to be diplomatic or euphemistic about it. However, if or when you know who or what you are as a highly, and I'm speaking specifically now for the natural native earthly humans that are highly melaninated skin, or that possess highly melanin skin, and of course, as I said before, and are the natural native earthly humans, once you know who you are, then you too, like I, the Mystic Philosopher, would not be easily offended or insulted, if at all offended and insulted, if or when someone call, label, profile, or name you nigger. I wouldn't be offended. Or Negro, or the N-word, whether they call you Negro, nigger, or the N-word, etc. Once you know who you are, but that's something else. You have to know. You too would know, like I, the Mystic Philosopher, do know one of the following facts, or one of the following truth. You would know, like I do, that you too would know that that person or persons are either Satan. When a person is calling you these derogatory words, especially when they are deliberately doing it, intentionally doing it, right? You would know that they are devils. You know that they are either Satan. If they are not Satan themselves, or him or herself or itself, whatever you conceive this thing called Satan to be, you would know that that's a devil calling you a nigger. Or that's a devil calling you black. That's a devil calling you Negro. All of these words. And please, again, I recommend that you listen to all my other presentations and see how these words are defined. Fact number 2, you should know that you too would know that that person or persons are children of Satan the devil himself, or Satan the devil herself or itself. And as children of Satan the devil, you should not and you cannot expect them to speak the truth, for they don't know the truth and they cannot handle the truth. For according to the Christian Bible, the man commonly called Christ said, and I quote, "You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry on or carry out your father's desire. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies." This is, unquote, John 8:44, the New International Version. Fact number 3, you would know. You too would know that that person or persons that are calling you these names are agents of Satan, the devil himself, herself or itself, and thus they are carrying out the works of Satan, which is to deceive and deceive all peoples of the earth into believing and perpetuating lies. That's the mission of the devil's agents. Fact number 4, you too would know that that person, again, person who are calling you nigger, if you are not a nigger. If you are a nigger, then you deserve to be called a nigger. But if you are not, then whoever is labeling you and calling you these names, you would know that that person or persons are just ignorant, or that they are ignoramuses, that in their gross ignorance, being ignoramus or ignoramuses, meaning more than one, in their gross ignorance, they are just trying to make mischief. Thus, you too may forgive them, for you know that they know not what they do, if or when they call, label, profile, or name you nigger, black, negro, or the N-word, etc. Once you know who you are as a natural, native, earthly human with melanin skin tone, and people are trying to call you these names, then you know that they are servants or children of that entity, that idea that is called Satan, the devil, the evil one. Their works and their intentions are nothing but evil, to keep you into confusion, to divide and conquer you. So know thyself. But more on that another time. Now, quote. I'm quoting again from dictionary.com. It said, quote number 4, "It is so profoundly offensive," meaning the word nigger. "It is so profoundly offensive that a euphemism has developed for those occasions when the word itself must be discussed, as in court or in a newspaper editorial, and the euphemism, the N-word." Unquote. The very important fact one should remember at all times is that euphemisms does not change the meaning of words and what they represent. Always remember that. I heard all these big time multimillionaire or billionaire speakers, because they have money and they are seen in the limelight at all times, people just listen to every word they say and think they speak with any authority, or they know what they're talking about. So when they say they don't use this word or use the euphemism, the N-word, it's such bull manure that it's just, for people who knows, the real English speaker and the honest person knows that these people are really acting and manifesting the characteristics of nigger. Euphemism, whether it's the N-word or any other euphemism, does not change the meaning of words and what these words represent. It does not. The Oxford Canadian Dictionary for Current English defines euphemisms as, and I quote, "a mild or a vague expression substituted for one thought to be too harsh or direct." Unquote. Check the dictionary and check the meaning of the word euphemism for yourself. Now, this quote again from the same dictionary.com. Despite this, the sense referring to a black person is sometimes used among African Americans as a neutral or familiar way, or rather in a neutral or familiar way, unquote. From my perspective, this is where ignorance and stupidity abounds. When people are using this word, and I dealt with it elsewhere, so I don't want to labor too much on it right now, because I've dealt exhaustively in another presentation at this point. When people are claiming to use the word in a neutral and familiar way, it is just ignorance, gross ignorance, and it is being perpetrated by those so-called black leaders and revolutionaries and stuff who are missing out and will not even pay attention to some of the basic things that I'm saying, so that they can correct some errors and add to the amount of other information, relevant information that they have, that people need to know as well. Quote number 5, or rather quote number 6 from dictionary.com. The sense referring to other victims or of prejudice, especially when used, meaning the word nigger again I'm dealing with, when used descriptively as to denounce that prejudice, is not normally considered disparaging. This is interesting. As in the Irish are the niggers of Europe, and from Roddy Doyle's The Commitments. But the other uses are considered contemptuous and hostile, unquote. Now, it's very important to note here, and I recommend that you, my viewers, if at all you really want the facts, you're going to criticize what I'm saying, please check for yourself dictionary.com and read and analyze the entire definition of the word there, and in particular this quote that I've just read. So you will notice that even when you niggerize another person or group of people that is not of African descent, and one that is not of high melanin skin tone, they cannot equal the lowest of the lowest, known as blacks, Negroes, and niggers. Check the definition for yourself. You will see. And it continues from the same dictionary.com, and the word nigger, it referred as a noun, a slang, extremely disparaging and offensive. And of course, a black person is a nigger according to the dictionary and according to the English language. B, a member of a dark-skinned people. It's right there, check for yourself. Slang, extremely disparaging and offensive, a person of any race or origin regarded as contemptible, regarded as inferior or ignorant, etc. I wish people, especially young people, would take time and look into the English language. The truth is right there. Everything is in the language. You're not hiding nothing from you. When you're calling yourselves nigger, when you're calling yourselves black, when you're calling yourselves by these derogatory adjectives, that because some great leaders or some civil rights leader or whoever may have fought to gain you some civil rights in the system, meaning that everything they did, knowledge stopped with them. This is what some of your great so-called revolutionaries and leaders are telling you today. They're always quoting Malcolm X, they're always quoting Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, and many others. They are quick to quote them and sing song about them. But what they fail to recognize, and this is a deception from the system, what they are failing to recognize is that knowledge and understanding did not stop with them. The system is tricking people into looking back at so-called leaders of the past. Anybody you see the system, this evil system, anybody they turn into an idol, into a model, a role model, and is always quoting them, and is always pointing you to them. Once the system accepts them, it's a trick. Don't be deceived, because when they were alive, the system had nothing to do with them. The system killed them. The system persecute them. So now they turn them into something for you to look to. The same thing with the same man they call Christ. The system hated him. And after a while they say, oh, we can get those idiots to follow us better if we claim that we adapt him. And so don't be deceived. Knowledge and understanding did not end with any of those guys who went on before. That's why I said I like the quote, seek the company of those who are seeking the truth. But I don't want to get too carried away here. But please pay attention to these definitions and the importance of words and their meanings and what they represent. And don't be deceived by some famous journalist or movie star or they are actors. How can you follow actors and oh, come on. Anyhow, let me get back here. And quote number 3, a victim of prejudice similar to that suffered by blacks, a person who is economically, politically, or socially disenfranchised. These are some of the definitions from dictionary.com, and it talks about the origin being 1640 to 1650, French nigri, and Spanish negro, which is the same as black. I cover all of this in detail in my presentation on B equal N, the black equation. Please, I recommend that you please check them out for yourself. Again, thanks for watching this part 1. This is the end of part 1. Please join me for the continuation in part 2 of this said presentation in part 2. I am the Mystic Philosopher. Thanks again. See you then in part 2.